Hi, it's PJ Patterson, Chairman and Founder of Keystone Financial. I want to introduce to you Robert Skeen of Oasis Skeen, get that out, Oasis Skeen Property Buyers. He is a buyer's advocate or buyer's agent. And for those of you that don't know what a buyer's agent does, then you must have a listen to this 30 or so minute interview with Rob, who talks about what a buyer's agent does, the value they add to a transaction, and shares with us why you would potentially look at using a buyer's agent. You've probably heard the term, you might be familiar with it if you're in the real estate industry and you've bought or sold a few properties, you might have heard of a buyer's agent. But this interview really nails why you want to look at using a buyer's agent, especially if you're time poor or if you're looking for a very specialized or specific type of property. So please do enjoy this interview with Rob Skeen of Oasis Skeen Property Buyers. So welcome everybody to this webinar on using a buyer's agent. I'm really excited to hear what Rob Skeen, our guest today, has to say about using a buyer's agent, why you would use a buyer's agent, and a bit more about his company and his role. Before we do that though, I would just like to get this little PowerPoint slide happening. So hopefully everyone can see my screen now, which is a Keystone Financial slide with a big B1G1 logo in it. And I just thought I'd explain to you real quick a little bit about B1G1, which is buy one, give one business for good. So my firm, Keystone Financial, is fully aligned to being a business for good. I'm part of a global social enterprise called B1G1. The cool thing about B1G1 is it's aligned to the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals. These are development goals that were established, I think, back in 2015 when a group of business leaders came together, the likes of your Bransons and your Buffetts and your Bill Gates came together and basically said that we're going to solve the world's problems by or through businesses taking action in the world. The cool thing about B1G1 is it's a funded platform, which basically means that my business participates in B1G1 and I pay for them to run their business so that any giving that my business does goes 100% to the charities and to the projects that I support. So really what this is about, it's all about my business making an impact in the world and not just about the dollar amounts that are given, but the impacts that we make. And I think it's fairly clear these days that people do want to do business with businesses that are actually making a difference in the world and having a social impact. There's the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. I love this slide. It's really colorful. It's really cool. There's quite a few there. You can have a quick scan of that, but they really do cover depth and breadth of the problems that we have around the world and the things that need to be solved all around the world. Just a quick thing on the Sustainable Development Goals. They really do address a lot of the global challenges that we face: poverty, inequality, climate change or climate, and having peace and justice around the world. And really, I think the goal is that we don't leave anyone behind, and my business is fully supportive and behind that. Here's just a couple projects we support, or three. I support, I think at the moment, about 17 different projects, but there's a couple, all very worthy causes, very important things in my heart and in what our business is aligned to. And as a result of all the participants coming into the webinar today and me running this, I'm going to be giving 7,500 days of clean water access to families in Ethiopia. So thank you all very, very much for being here today. So I'd like to introduce our special guest, which is Rob Skeen of Oasis Skeen. He is a property buyer's agent, and he's going to tell us all about what that is. So Rob, over to you, my friend.
Thank you so much, PJ, and great initiative too with what you're doing there with the charity. Love your work. So a big question that we always get is, what is a buyer's agent? Obviously, it's a relatively new concept here in Australia, although I've been doing it for 20 years, believe it or not. And what we basically do is we represent buyers wholly and solely in the purchasing transaction. So we represent the property buyers and we negotiate the best terms and the lowest price. Now, if you go back in history in Australia, I think 50 years ago, 50% of properties were sold privately, the other 50% were sold through real estate agents. And if you fast forward to today's times, you'll probably see that 90 to 95% of homes are sold through a selling agent. Why is that? I think number one, people know that they negotiate day in, day out, so they're hiring them because they're great negotiators. They're also hiring them because they know that they're working with buyers on a monthly basis, so they have buyers on their database they can perhaps introduce to the property. And number three, they're great marketers, you know, so they come in and they take great photographs and floor plans and things like that. It's my dream that one day, and it might not be in my lifetime, but one day that everyone uses a buyer's agent, because, you know, when you're making a transaction, which is arguably your largest financial and certainly most emotional decision, if sellers are being represented, then why not buyers as well?
That's an important point.
What do buyer's agents do?
You might just dwell on for a second is the fact that buyer's agents do actually represent the buyer, and in a transaction, as you just pointed out, they don't. The agent really represents the seller of a property and not the buyer.
Absolutely. You know, that people are hiring them because they're a professional and they're great at what they do. And I think, you know, if you look at the average purchase of a property that a normal person would make, they say it's one property transaction every 7 to 10 years. So if you're not doing it like we are on a weekly basis, I think that's where we really come in and add value, because, you know, we are highly skilled negotiators. We are good at being able to, if you look at that slide there, being able to evaluate a property's worth and also investigate it a little bit further. So we obviously counteract, especially in this market, overpricing, misinformation and that emotional impulse buying. And at the end of the day, you know, we help people buy a property on the best terms and trying to save them as much money as possible. Who do we help? So we help a lot of time for professionals. You know, people are working 50 hours a week. Last thing they want to do is be, you know, dragging themselves around open houses on a weekend or in the evenings. We help property investors, so people that are looking to make a smart investment decision. Aussie expats, a lot of them expats have had mum and dad looking, but obviously mum and dad can't get out there every weekend. And also, you know, do mum and dad really understand their values, and are they able to negotiate a good price on their behalf? Expats usually will come to us because they know that, you know, we're in the market day in, day out. We'll take the photographs that they won't see online that the agents love to show. Obviously, agents take photos of all the best parts of the home. So we give them an independent, unbiased view of the property so they can make a well-informed decision. Scrolling down the list, buyers missing out at auctions. Now that happened a lot, obviously, as the market was going up. People were missing out, getting frustrated, and then just coming to us. Now, with the market the way that it is now, property buyers are unsure of values. So they're coming to see us and saying, look, we're being quoted this figure here. We know the market's dropping. Is it really worth what the agents are asking? And in some cases, you know, we're seeing drops of up to 15 to 18%. Now, that's quite considerable if you're buying, you know, in the $3 or $4 million price range. Buyers are uncomfortable, or people are uncomfortable with negotiating. You know, some people, as I said before, don't do it often, so they come to us and let us take that headache away from them. And the list goes on, as you can see down the list. That's a good one. Council couples on opposite sides of expectations, property expectations. You know, husband might want a large man cave, the wife doesn't want the man cave. You know, we help bring them together.
Rob, I like the fussy property buyers there. What does that mean exactly? People that are looking for a particular type of property, and they give you their criteria, and you go and find or try to source that type of property. Is that what you mean by that?
Yeah, absolutely. Or, you know, sometimes, you know, they have champagne tastes on their beer budget, to be perfectly frank. So, you know, we help educate them, show them what they can really buy for their money. And sometimes it might be just taking them over one suburb from where they were, you know, they ultimately wanted to buy, and we take them over to the other suburb where they are getting a little bit more value for money. If not, and they really do want to be in that suburb, that's fine. But we help, you know, educate them on what their money can buy.
Fantastic.
Okay, so how we add value or we help, we uncover silent sales. Silent sales are listings that you won't see advertised online or in press. So they might be people who are thinking about selling, but they're not quite ready. They don't want to put a signboard out the front and let the neighbours know. So the agents will introduce us to those listings. It might be listings that actually have signed up and they're ready to go to market, but you've yet to take photographs, book the ads, do the floor plans. So we can find out about those 2 or 3 weeks before they hit the market. We're also out there 6 days a week. So, you know, we're here looking for you pretty much every day of the week except Sunday. We have an agent database. With our agent database, it covers all the agents' email addresses, all their phone numbers. So week to week, we're emailing them, we're calling them to find out about any new listings that they've got coming up. We help advise on negotiation strategy. So a lot of people, when it comes down to negotiating, they think, oh, look, just put a low offer in and then, you know, build it up from there. And at the end of the day, the strategy is basically pay what the agent tells them. You know, there's actually 18 principles to real estate negotiation. I'm going to cover a few of them a little bit later on, because I really want to give some people some value today. So I'll come back to that. We have a dream team to help. So once we've found the home, we've got conveyancers, we've got building and pest inspectors that we use, and we've got people like you, PJ, that we can call in to help give them a plan in terms of their financial side. We're licensed real estate agents, and we have professional indemnity insurance. So just say, for argument's sake, touch wood, it's never happened, but you know, we go and pay too much for a home, you know that there's insurance there for you to be able, as a consumer, to be able to get some recourse back if we do pay too much. We know real estate market and values because we're out there day in, day out, and we know the tricks of the trade. So that helps, you know. We know all the lies that the agents tell, and we can stay one step ahead of the game. Relationships, because we're buying from agents week in, week out, we've been there through the bad times and the good times, they tend to tell us more, you know. They know that we're working with qualified buyers. So if we go and view a home and we ask them a price guide, they might say, look, you know, Rob, we're quoting 1 million to the public, but ideally our owner would like 1.1. So they do tend to tell us a bit more. And lastly, as I said before, we're highly skilled negotiators. Now, I want to give you guys some tips in terms of negotiating. So I hope you have your pens ready. Number one, I'm just going to maybe cover 4 or 5. If you'd like the full 10, I'm happy to email that out to you guys. I think PJ will have my details for you. But the top 5 I'll give you today. Number 1 is communication. It's important that you keep all the channels of communication open with the agent. Have sincerity, have courtesy. There seems to be a myth with people that to be a good negotiator, you've got to be hard, you know, you've got to be tough. And it's just not true. Nobody wants to deal with the tosser. So I think, you know, always be sincere in your intentions and keep the communication open. Number 2, preparation. The person who wins the negotiation is the person that's most prepared. So have your plan mapped out. Prepare for any objections that you might have and how you're going to tackle those objections. Have a timeline of your negotiation events and the offers that you're placing. Number 3 is timing. What could be a bad deal today could be a wonderful deal tomorrow. Things change day to day, week to week, and so on. And especially in a market like we're in at the moment, you know, with properties going to auctions, not selling, getting passed in, languishing on the market, you know, what might have been an offer that was rejected early in the auction campaign, 4 or 5 weeks post-auction, could be the deal that the owners take. So, you know, timing's important. Questions is number 4. Questioning the agent can lead to a great outcome in terms of negotiation. Knowledge is power. So questions like, where are the owners going? Do they need a longer or shorter settlement? Or even a question to the agent about the value. Why are you asking this price? You know, the market's changed. It's come down with reading the reports and, you know, justify it. And, you know, 9 times out of 10 in this market, they fumble. So questioning can lead you to a better price. And when I talk about longer or shorter settlement, you know, that could play a part in I had a negotiation recently in Bronte where we had an offer that was $85,000 less than another buyer, but I knew that the lady was running a daycare centre at her home and she hadn't relocated the kids or that business. So we gave them a 4-month settlement and they took our offer as opposed to the other buyer because we were able to give her that time. Terms. You know, you can agree to any price, high or low, if the terms are adjusted. You know, terms mean everything from timing, from the timing, as I mentioned before, to extras in the property deal. One example might be that, you know, you release your deposit to the seller so they're able to purchase another property. There you go. Now, the rest of the tips, I don't have time to go through all today, but I'll happy to send that out to you in an email.
No, that would be great. So there's 5 tips that mate. Those were fantastic. I can't wait to hear what the other 5 are, and I will definitely get those up on the webpage or whatever we put together for this webinar link that we send out to everybody. So definitely, we'll get those up for all the participants who came along today. Thank you very much for that, Rob.
Fabulous. Just on the last point of that, I thought I will mention this one because it's important. We like all our offers, our final offer, to be in the form of the signed contract. So once you've done all your due diligence, you've had the contract looked at, your building and pest inspection done, you've placed a few offers, we always say put your last and final offer in the form of the signed contract with the Section 66W, which waives your cooling off rights, and as well as a check. Now, the reason for that is that if you're put an offer in that's probably less, a little bit less than what the owners have wanted, when you're putting it in writing and hand it over to the agent, you know, the agent, he's paid on a percentage. He really couldn't care less if it was 40, you know, 50K under what the owners are looking for at the end of the day, because they get paid commission only. So he doesn't get the deal over the line, doesn't get paid. When you give him that check and that contract, it's almost like the dollar signs light up in his eyes. They then have to take that and present it to the owner. And it's the old Australian saying, a bird in the hand's worth 2 in the bush. It's a powerful tool, and it works for us 9 times out of 10. So always put your final offer in writing.
Love it.
Okay, a couple of additional services we have. We do an auction bidding service. So if people have found their dream home, you know, they haven't bid at auction before, it is quite daunting. If anybody's been to auction, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, or if you've seen it on TV. You know, usually there's 150 people there, the auctioneer screaming at you, the agent circling you like sharks. You know, you're already emotionally stressed because it's that sort of pressure cooker. We can go in and take all that away. That's a wonderful service. I've been at a few auctions, and that is worth every penny of what is the fee? $550, including GST. That is crazy. Plus a bit more, so about $1,000 all up, mate. That is worth it to de-stress. Correct, and we love our clients to be there. You know, they can be there. They can stand on the side. We take all the emotion away, and they can just look at things objectively. And you know, we know when to speed up the auction, when to slow it down. We say a few little cheeky things, you know, is a property on the market and things like that to make people, you know, aware whether they're selling or not. Because if the property's not on the market, then you know, what's the point of bidding? So little things that we add, you know, just to help our buyers take all that pressure away and hopefully get a better deal. Okay, so when it comes to evaluating a property's worth, obviously it's seeing what's sold in the market each and every week. And we educate our clients through that process. So anything that we've looked at, we'll let them know what it's sold for. When it comes down to finding the one that they love, we'll provide them a CoreLogic RP data report, which covers all the comparable sales, similar accommodation, as you can see on the screen there in front of you, and obviously what they sold for and what date, which I think is all important. And they also run a report too called a valuation report. It's one that most of the bank's valuers use. So it gives you an estimated value of the home and an estimated price range. So very good to determine values. Here's our agent database with all the agents that we contact weekly via email and phone calls to find out about all those silent sales. And a quick case study for you. So we all love images, so we're going to scroll through a few images here. This particular client that bought this home here in Willoughby sold their home about 8 months ago to a developer. Their settlement date was looming. They're due to settle at the end of January, and they hadn't been able to find a home. So they engaged us to help them find all those extra silent sales. So we took them on within, we actually delivered property, silent sale listings for 4 weeks. And within the 4th week, we found this fabulous home in Willoughby for them and exchanged. Saved them $85,000 in the process as well. So they were quite stoked about that. Wasn't advertised anywhere. Nice single level home. Loved it. This particular client we bought for out at Normanhurst. This was a very interesting story and quite relevant to today's times. This property was going to auction. It had a price guide of 2.5 to 2.6. We looked at it and the client loved it, wanted to buy the home. We felt that at 2.4 to 2.6, it was way over market value. So we advised the client to just put in low offers every week, which we did on their behalf. The property got passed in at auction. It then languished on the market for a further 8 weeks. So with its auction campaign, it was actually on the market for 16 by the end of it all. We then placed an offer in, we were placing offers obviously week to week, but we placed our final offer, as I mentioned before, in the form of a signed contract with the cheque at 2.1 million. And lo and behold, they took the offer. The owner had been committed elsewhere. They needed to sell. Look, at the end of the day, it was never worth 2.4 to 2.6. We knew that. Realistically, it was probably 2.3. And we bought it for 2.1 with a signed contract. Over the moon.
I bet you they were stoked.
Let's see. Oh, absolutely. Here's a couple of internal shots of the home. The next couple of properties is just couple of my favourite ones from over the years. This is a gorgeous 3 or 4 acres up in Terry Hills. I would have bought this about 8 years ago. Now, if you look at it and imagine 8 years ago, this is sort of, the first of its kind with all the glass and the concrete floors. Absolutely stunning home at the top of Terry Hills there. This is another one in Clifton Gardens. As you can see there, looking out over the beach, a substantial sized home. I think we bought that a number of years ago for 11 million for this particular client. Did you fathom what the stamp duty is in 11 million? Just roughly off the top of my head, it's about $500,000 in stamp duty. So one of the more stunning homes that we've bought. We pride ourselves on our service, so happy clients is what it's all about. And if you look up our reviews, you can read up a little bit about us here. And thank you very much for today. Here's our social media and stuff. If you want to follow us or give us a like, it would be most appreciated.
Rob, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for that presentation. For those of you who are on the call, if you have any questions, now would be the time to put those into the chat box. But I will start off with a quick question for you, Rob, and that is, you've talked a lot, really you've kind of centered this towards people that might be buying homes to live in, but do you also offer a service to anyone looking to buy an investment property?
Absolutely, we sure do. So probably about 50% of our business is investment. I will say though, with the way that the market is, it's changing. We're dealing more with owner-occupied as of late, because naturally people are a little bit nervous and, they've got every right to be. But yes, we help people with investment property, whether they're buying in Sydney or interstate. We've been actively doing that for interstate for probably about 10 years. We've also got an office up in Brisbane, and quite active up in that market as well.
Okay, so you do operate in both Sydney and Brisbane. That's awesome. In terms of the percentage of your business that you might do for overseas buyers, what does that look like? So people may be relocating
probably about
to the UK or something, or Asia here to Australia.
Yes, it's about 15% of our business, and it's seasonal. So obviously, as we're coming into the holidays, we're going to get a lot more inquiries for expats who are coming home for a break, and a lot of them are looking to either look for a home or they're looking to buy an investment property.
Okay. In terms of working with, say, I'm a mortgage broker, and I work in with a lot of finance brokers. Do you get a lot of referrals coming through from the finance broking community who give you a call and say, hey, I've got these clients that are looking for a place, they can't find something, they need some help?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they're definitely one of our strategic partners in terms of referrals. People such as yourself too, PJ. I know you've given us a few referrals in the past with people that are time poor. I think the last one was, she was a doctor and didn't have a lot of time. Yeah, so we work very well with brokers.
Oh, fantastic.
Conveyancers as well too. So people that are, you know, solicitors that specialise in property, that they're quite good referrers because obviously they're looking at contracts, and if the buyer's a bit frustrated, they'll usually whinge to their conveyancer or lawyer, and they're great source of referrals for us as well.
Okay. And in terms of first home buyers versus second or third or you know, upgraders or whatever, what percent would you be dealing with, say, that would be first home buyers?
Not much, unfortunately. Yeah, it'd probably be only about 2 or 3% of our business.
Okay.
It's something we certainly would like to concentrate more on because, you know, there still are those first home buyer incentives. But to be frank, it's quite, we're demographically challenged. So if they're buying in that $300,000 or $400,000 price range, it's usually a lot further out of the CBD.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard for us to service that market.
Mm-hmm. And so your market that you sort of look after is, now correct me if I'm wrong here, but it's within a certain kilometer radius of the CBD. And what is that?
Correct, PJ. It's about a 15 to 20K radius of Sydney CBD.
Okay. Yeah, I think if you're a first home buyer, 20 Ks of the city, you're spending $1 million easy, unless you're buying a unit.
Exactly. Yeah, or a car space.
Yeah, that's right, a car space. We don't have any questions coming through, mate. You've obviously done such a fantastic job of explaining what you do that everyone is very satisfied with that. So what I might do is give it just another minute or two, see if any questions float through. Is there anything else that comes to mind that you might that you feel like mentioning?
No, not really at this stage. I think that's pretty much all I had to say, but yeah.
Rob, I am really impressed with those case studies, man. I'd love to live in a couple of those houses. So when I get a cool a few $1 million to spend on housing, I'll certainly be giving you a call. But thank you so much for your time today. And I really do appreciate you setting aside the time today to be with us.
Oh, that's a pleasure. And thank you to everyone for tuning in. I really appreciate it.
No worries. Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for attending, and we will see you on our next webinar. Have a great weekend and a wonderful Christmas as well.